Hi everyone, welcome to another Art with Kendra. Today we are going to be drawing this baby Yoda, at least that's what my daughter calls it. I know the name is Grogu, but baby Yoda is what my daughter calls it, so I will be referring to it as baby Yoda for the rest of the video, and I know that's going to bug a few people, so I'm sorry in advance. So here's an example of what I'm going to be drawing and painting today. So let's go ahead and do this. Now the drawing itself is pretty simple. What we're going to do is draw an oval for the head. Keep your pencil lines very light if you can. So there's a nice little oval for the head. And then we're just going to kind of do like a little rounded rectangle coming off the bottom. That's going to give us the shape of our body. Now I like to do my heads large, so that's why our head is abnormally large. I'm going to add that little tuft of fur around the collar there. Love that. And those two little arms are just little rectangles poking out. And I'm going to have it holding a little Christmas ball. So if you've watched The Mandalorian, you know that Baby Yoda likes this little silver ball. And I had, I think it's clever, a little idea to do a holiday card where we have a tree decoration in place of that little silver ball, a little silver tree decoration. So that is my vision for today. So I've drawn that in. The little feeder is going to be wiggle, 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 nice and simple. Now those ears are a little bit above center. So what I'm going to do is just kind of imagine that line going straight across there. The ears are almost as wide as the face. So we're going to go ahead and be nice and big with these kind of floppy ears, almost like rabbit ears coming off the side of the head here. And they usually, at least what I've noticed, they seem to kind of stay more or less pointed out. So I'm going to honor that here. A little bit of kind of pink in the ear. We're going to add that with color, of course. And I'm going to be drawing in the eyes. Now I like to find my centers just so I know where everything is positioned. Now, Baby Yoda actually has huge eyes, but it is a cartoon and this is my cartoon. So I am going to give Baby Yoda small eyes just below center, a little nose, a little very small nose and a little mouth. Now, Baby Yoda tends to be pretty neutral in terms of expression, so this is as happy as I really am going to do my Baby Yoda. So there's the sketch. Oh, we forgot the hand. Boop, boop, little hand there. There's our sketch. Now I would need to erase my pencil lines, so I'm going to fast forward for this part. There we go. Erase, 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 erase. Studio Ghibli has just come out with a beautiful short about Baby Yoda, and I can't forget what I think they're called sprites, the little tiny like black dust balls that are in one of the movies. And my family is quite a Studio Ghibli fan. I might be saying it wrong. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but yeah, it's a beautiful little short. Okay, so now we are in the watercolor phase. So I am going to be using a little bit of turquoise here. I have this paint palette. You can see it's quite messy, and that's how it should be, honestly. Here's the lid, also very messy. This is where I'm going to mix my paints. Here's my turquoise, and I'm going to mix that with maybe a little bit of this light green color. You know, there's so little light green in here. I might even be able to just do this. Don't ever mix paint directly over your painting like I'm doing. This is dangerous, and actually I should probably stop. So I'll just move that over. I'm going to add a bit more water to that color, and it might work. It might be a little too blue, but you know what? That's fine. Oh, I think that's the color. Now, instead of going in with wet on wet, I'm going to actually start with wet on dry, but I am eventually going to go wet on wet with this. So my light is going to be coming in through the right. So my dark side is going to be the left. So you can see I've added in, we're going to call this the core shadow side here, the shadow side. So now I'm going to just clean my brush off. And I'm going to pull that over, soften that edge, and pull that over to the light side here, the dark side and light side. Little Star Wars joke there. So now we're back on the dark side. There we go. So you can see I've created a little bit of a transition between shadow and highlight here. And I want to, while that's wet, I need to add in my ears. Again, this is going to be a little bit of a lighter ear, and the ears in general might be a little bit lighter. I'm going to add a little bit of green down there. And then just kind of pull that color. So everything is still wet, which is good. I want to also add just a hint of pink. Now I do have a pink. Yeah, that'll work. Actually, that's a great pink. Just kind of letting it fade into that green there. And believe it or not, there's even a bit of pink in the face. So I'm just going to add a little bit of pink in a few areas of the face here while everything is still wet, so we can get those colors blending really well. Might add a little bit more intense color over here while it's wet, of course, so we're still able to manipulate this. It should still all kind of blend nicely. And we can also lift color, which I might also be doing a little bit of here. I might lift a bit of color. Just going to go a little darker green over here. There we go. So if I want to lift color, I can give my brush a little bit of a clean. I can pull some color out just like that. You know, very subtle, but it can give us a little bit of shape there. There are a few kind of wrinkly areas that I might want to lean into a bit here. I don't want to go too detailed with it though. I do like to keep this kind of simple. So the hand is too small to really do highlight and shadow, so I'm just going to fill these in, and the feet as well. Now, with watercolor, you need your paints to dry if you don't want them to blend. So I actually need to let this dry. So I'm going to blow dry it, and then we'll continue. Okay, the head is still a little bit wet, so we're going to work on this. So this is our holiday ornament. Now, the funny thing about a reflective object is that it basically just kind of reflects everything around it. So the color wouldn't necessarily be pure silver. So I'm going to be adding different colors into this. Also, I want to have a very clear highlight, maybe a secondary highlight as well. So certain areas here, I'm going to leave just dry for now, and that's going to give me some nice highlights. Now, the reflection of our baby Yoda should be apparent, so I'm going to just add some green here. Oh, that's even more intense than there, we fade that out a bit. We don't want it to be too intense. I'm going to add a little bit of even maybe like a yellow ochre here. We're going to have a little bit of yellow ochre in our outfit. So I want to make sure those colors are represented, and then I will use a nice Payne's gray to kind of accentuate the idea of the silver. I will eventually be adding ink outlines, which will be helpful. But I want to make my shadows and highlights a little on the aggressive side. That'll help to make it look shiny. There. So I'm going to let that dry, see what happens. I can move into the chest now. So I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow ochre with brown. And I'm going to do the same thing where I just add the paint first. So I'm going to add the paint to the shadow areas, and then I'm going to soften it. And even though, you know, all of the sleeves, I do want them to feel separate, I'm still just going to do this as one big chunk. And then I'm going to let the lines kind of separate the sleeves from the body and all that stuff. So my highlight shadow is going to be a little on the vague side here, but it should still be nice. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre, I think, to the other side to do just a bit of a more interesting color. So the yellow ochre is going to blend in here with our shadows. Go. So this side should be more heavily shadowed. I'm going to pull a little bit of that yellow ochre in here as well. I might leave a little bit of a white edge just so my colors don't overly blend. And I want to tell a shadow highlight story here, but I don't need it to be, you know, all done with the watercolor. I do have this is a bit dark. I do have the ink that I'm going to be able to use to help to tell my story as well. Here we go. So I'm getting a bit of a blend there. And I'm going to just lift a little bit of paint out of this. It's a little bit lighter, I think, than the jacket. So I'm just going to lift a little bit of paint off of that. That looks great, actually. Okay, so now we just have one little thing to do, which is that top little piece. I'm going to make that Payne's gray. Payne's gray and black are pretty much the same. Like, they're not the same color at all. I shouldn't say that, but they're very similar. Payne's gray is just wonderful. It is very similar to black, but it really leans blue, and I prefer it to black. I actually very rarely use black because I like Payne's gray so much. All right, so I might want to add just a bit more shadow to this. It just doesn't feel shiny yet. So I'm just going to add a few little shadow kind of strips, and then I want to soften them. So I'm going to use my brush, clean it off, and then just kind of soften those just on the one side. I don't want it to feel there. I think that feels a bit more shiny. There we go. We'll leave that. I think the pen outline will help a lot too. Okay, blow dry. Okay, time for our pen outline. As long as everything's dry, everything needs to be dry. Just to be safe, I'm going to start with the head here. I'm going to turn my, oh, this isn't the pen I want to use. I'm going to use a thicker pen here. There we go. I'm going to use my graphic one, my Micron graphic one. For anyone who's done my videos like this before, you know I love my Micron pens. Should probably try to get a sponsorship with them or something. I mention Micron so often. All right, so going in here. The ears are so long, just really letting them be nice and long here, tucking them in. This one goes in behind the head a bit. When I'm doing my lines, I tend to turn my drawings around quite a bit, and that's because I feel like I have more control. Also, I'm a little nervous about smudging my paint. I'm fairly certain it's dry, but sometimes it's hard to tell. I'm going to draw that face in. The face is just so cute. Now, Baby Yoda has huge eyes, really big eyes, and this is my version of Baby Yoda, so I'm going to give it small eyes. There we go. My daughter is going to love this. Oh, speaking of my daughter, I hear her walking around. So I should wrap this up. I think my kids probably need me here, so I'll draw nice and fast, just doing those ink outlines. We do have one more step to do, which I should be able to do in about 30 seconds here. You can see the ink outlines are really telling a beautiful part of the story for me here. All right, now all we need to do is our cast shadow and we're done. So I have a little bit of Payne's Gray on my brush.
Mom, Callum's awake.
Is Callum awake? Okay, I'll be up in a sec. Thank you for letting me know, sweetie. Guess what Mommy's doing?
What?
Do you want to see?
Yeah.
There, do you see what I'm painting?
Baby Yoda?
Yeah, what do you think?
Holding a decoration?
Yeah.
Why is she holding a decoration there?
Oh, you know in The Mandalorian when Baby Yoda has that silver ball?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a silver ball. Right?
Is this gum?
Yes.
Are you going to eat it then?
Okay, here we go. We're done. I mean, that got just a little bit. There we go. Smooth that out a bit. There we are. I hope you enjoyed painting with me today. For more videos, please subscribe, check out my channel. And if you're interested in doing art classes, that is kind of the main thing I'm doing right now. So message me if you're interested in those. Have a happy time painting, everyone. Bye.